Alright, and we're finally live. So welcome guys. Sorry I was a bit late, kind of slept in. Wasn't planning to, but anyways, at least got that done. So today we're going to work on the map editor. We're going to add in the chunk manager tool. So basically that'll be a tool where you can add new chunks to the map, you can delete chunks, also generate things onto chunks. So we're gonna have to do a couple of little changes to not just that, but also the tool system to get that working well. Oh no. I'm just gonna mute the Twitch alerts because it's gonna start spamming us now. Oh, hold on. Yep. Okay, there you go. I muted it. Let me know if you guys still hear the noise for the Twitch alerts. Okay, I'm just going to tweet this out. Oh yes, by the way, we actually have a new channel link now. So you can now get to our channel, youtube.com/c/hollowbit, and if you want to get to the live stream, do /live. So that's useful if you guys want to do that. If you guys want to link out the channel. Before it was like video games, you know, like the old channel name. But now it's updated and it's good. Hold on, I'm just going to tweet this out. Alright, it's tweeted and I'm going to put it on Discord. Alright, there you go. Alright, so let's get into this now. Whoops. I think I opened it twice. My mouse is still doing that auto double click thing every once in a while. Yeah, there you go. I had a feeling there'd be an error. Whoops. Okay, I just need to change something quick. I'll just make it so I'm not watching the live stream anymore. Because I had it set up before so that I was watching the stream, but I'm just going to keep it open for a viewer count. Okay, so I'll just show you guys quickly what I've done since I think the last stream was on Thursday. Hello, Danger. So I'll just show you guys what I did. So when I left off, some of you guys who watched may remember we had a few chunks that were added in by default. Just had these 5 chunks. They weren't rendering correctly, or at least I think maybe during the stream I fixed the way they're rendering, so you can see they render in this kind of shape here, like they're supposed to. But we couldn't get using the pencil tool working on it. But that all works now. And you may notice too that the pencil tool doesn't do gaps anymore when you draw. Although I did notice there's one gap here. So it's not a perfect system, unfortunately. There's probably some little tweaking I need to do on the algorithm, but it works well enough. Whoa, I don't know what happened there. Oh, it just crashed. All right, well I didn't do, I guess I didn't do the checking for that. Here, hold on, I'll just restart it. Oops. So yeah, that works well. And I also added in the bucket tool, so you can fill it in. The bucket tool only works across the current chunk that you're doing it in. It's just simpler that way. Also, doing across chunks, if you have a ton of chunks, it could be a really big bucket fill operation. So I prefer to just have it be split between each one. And each chunk is pretty big anyways, like, and it's not hard to do bucket fill. Like, there's 5 chunks here, you just do it quickly like that. It's really not long. So it'd save me some development time for such a little thing that we probably won't even use. So yeah, oh yes, also if you hold shift, it'll draw lines between the current location of the mouse and the last one that it drew onto. So that's useful as well. I'm probably going to add some sort of display so that you can see where the line's going to be drawn before you draw it. So we'll add in that that stuff today, because there's a few things we're gonna have to add in. Yeah, that's pretty much all. So I got it pretty much all working. It doesn't save to files anymore. It doesn't do any of that stuff. As you guys saw in the new map window, I removed a lot of the things that we're not using anymore. So there was the climate in here. There was the map type, so I removed that, and also removed the width and height of the map, since it's not bound to width and height anymore. It just depends on what chunks you have. So yeah, we're gonna have to format this to something smaller. For some reason I can't click anything, I don't know why. Did it crash? New row set. Alright, I'm just gonna remove that. Okay, so also I split off the different tools into their own class that extends the tool class. So they all have you know, their own class for that, which makes more sense now. So there's actually a tool object that we're using. Before I was just using an int, and I was checking if selected tool is equal to 0, which would stand for pencil, or I was using a constant, which wasn't very good. So now we have this, but we're going to add a couple of bit more functionality to it. So let's create a few more functions here. So we're going to have an add components function. I'll just explain that in a second. And also have a public abstract void render. So that the tool can also render some stuff on the map. So the add components, what that's going to do is, here, I'll show you guys quickly. Oh, it says there's an error. Oh yeah, because all of these have to implement that. Add unimplemented methods. And there's a couple other ones here. It's annoying, those to-do things there that get auto-generated. I discovered once how to remove that in Eclipse, but it would still keep like an extra line, which I guess isn't as bad. Here, maybe I'll do that quickly. Some Java. Oh, there you go. And I guess I could just remove that like that. Constructor body, getter, setter. Remove that for the constructor as well. Catch block body, okay. Alright, hopefully this works. Let's try this out actually. What's another tool here? We got the pencil one. Add unimplemented methods. Oh. It's printing out body statement. Okay. Did I do something wrong? Method body. There was that there, I remember. Like if you look at the constructor, it has that too, and this as well. Okay. Let's try that again. There you go. Okay, but I should add in the space. Oops. Window property code method body. Did I put like this? Does that work? Why is it doing 2 lines? I think this is the issue I was having when I was doing this last time. Anyways, I won't spend too much more time on this. I'll just... Like if I do that, and then I click that, it's going to do nothing. Anyways, it's better to have nothing, I think, like that. We'll just keep it like this. Wait, I'll just move these up here. Any more errors? Okay, no. So let's go into the... Here, let's close some things off here. You don't need all this chunk stuff. That's pretty much all working now. This we can close. Okay. So in the editor, here it's working now. So when you select your tool, you can see here there's some settings for the different tools, right? See, so the pencil, you have the settings for, well, I mean, that's the problem, right? Is that for whatever tool you select, it's always going to be the same settings on the sidebar. What I want to do is I want the settings to be dependent on what tool you have selected currently. So for the pencil and the bucket, this sidebar is good because you're selecting what tile you want to use. There's a search bar for the tiles. You can set what tiles are visible and not. But for the entity placer, this makes no sense on the side. It has nothing to do with the tiles. It has nothing to do with what layers are visible or not. So what I'm going to do is, with this in the tools here, we have these new add components methods, and these will be used to every time a new tool is selected, the sidebar will be cleared, and the add components method will allow the tool to add their own components, add their own settings for what they want. So the pencil and the bucket will have the same ones basically, but the entity placer will have something different. I'm not even sure if I'll use the sidebar for the entity placer because it's more complicated than that. Actually, maybe, yeah. I think so. Yeah, actually, yeah, I think I would do that. So yeah. So we're going to do that quickly. That shouldn't take too long, I don't think. It's more just figuring out what in this super long declaration is. What in here is actually for the sidebar. So we have the search bar here, you can see that. The variable names are pretty bad too, which is a problem. Okay, so you can see the visibility thing here. Okay, and then here's the different buttons for the different tools. So we got the bucket tool, the entity tool, and then I think the settings start here. So this would be the okay, but it seems like here that everything is, even the tool buttons, are being added to this panel thing here. So what I'm thinking is that we'll have to create a new panel called like a tool settings panel that's exclusively for everything under the tool buttons. Okay, so let's create that quickly here. Wait, I closed the tool class? Hold on. Tool, we'll need the pencil as well out here. So this will be pass in a JPanel like this. Oh yeah, I should change it in here first. Just import that. JPanel panel. Okay, so let's just copy down here and be careful what we copy. So this is the tiles, and the search bar shouldn't be too far. Whoops. There goes my mouse again. Here, just so I don't lose the place, I'm just going to put a giant comment like this. So it's obvious where it is. There's the search. Okay, there you go. So if I just cut out all of this out, just cut it out of there. And I'll put it right in the pencil here. Well, there's a lot of stuff. I'm thinking I'm going to move this add component method down to the bottom of a class, just so it doesn't clutter everything else, because this isn't really the most important part of it, this class. The most important part is the map manipulator. Okay, so I'll just throw this down here. Okay, so there's a few variables that are missing. The selected layer. So a few of these we have access to from here, so we can just do that like this. The asset manager, we don't have access to it here, so that would be something that would be useful to have access to, I think. Although I think you can get it from the editor. Editor.get asset manager, there you go. All these things that are missing is just because you don't have the variables in. Reload lists, we'll have to add that method after as well. Okay, so really not too bad actually. So let's add in these things here. Go to the main editor. They should be all declared at the top, so we're going to remove their declarations. Okay, so that's a search text field, and we should have the list. I don't know, I feel like there's some stuff that's missing. Okay, list title, tile name. I really didn't organize this well at all. Like you have the bucket tool button here, but where's the pencil one and all that? Anyways, list title. So what's missing here? We have checkbox tiles visible. Where is that saved? Okay, okay, checkbox tiles visible. So it's going to cause some bugs in the main class as well, for sure. What else? Show tiles. Oh, right. We're gonna have to do some little hacks for some of these things. I get selected layer. Oh, and then that's setting the selected layer. Okay, we'll do that later. Empty and toggle elements. Okay, text field search. So that's one thing that we need. Label list title. Text field search. Label list title. So we'll get that out of here. What else? Label tile name. The list. And that's it. Let's get that here. Label tile name and the list. So there's going to be quite a few things we're going to have to fix in here. So what we need to do in here is do editor dot set show tiles, and we'll set this to like that. This thing we're going to update in the main editor. I'll change that in a second. Okay, we need to add a set selected layer. Let's get the reload list button in here. There you go, reload list. icon hovered. What's this all about? Oh, okay, so this is the item that's hovered over. So we should get that in there as well too. Just throw this up in here. Alright, still a few more bugs. So this, we need to add a set selected. This becomes the same thing that we did before, so it's editor.set show elements. So it's the same as for the tiles. Editor.get selected layer. You know what? I think selected layer should be part of this. This would make much more sense. Because the main editor has nothing to do with the selected layer. So just delete that, get that out of the way. Okay, so this would be no, I've been editing the pencil. Okay, so update values. Basically this loop here is just to keep things in check. So it runs 60 times per second. Basically all it does is it you know, it just keeps things updated to what they're supposed to be. So see here you have the save button. This continually gets updated whether there's a map loaded or not. That's obviously not the best way to do it, but this is the way I designed it back in the day when I made this program when I was a pretty big noob. So I'm just going to stick with that. So we can delete this stuff here now. Just get that out of the way. Get tile list. Just remove that. Scroll items. So this is we're gonna have to add something new to the tool. We'll do public abstract void mouse scroll int amount. So we're gonna have to add this to the other tools. Add an implemented method. We'll just focus on the pencil tool for now. So now in here, we'll be able to do this. So we can update the list when it gets scrolled, which makes much more sense, I think. So for the editor, get selected item value. So this becomes list.get selected value. This makes much more sense, I think. Sorry this is taking quite a bit of time to get into. But I just want to clear this up. It's going to be much easier to add in the chunk manager tool after this. guess this becomes selected layer. Okay, and the last things we have is just these things here, which I think we should just be able to change in here quick. So set show grid. So see, this does this already, I think. See, MTM toggle elements that's set selected. This gets updated in here anyways. So that's good. What we'll do is we'll just do, actually see it already calls it, so we're good. We just have to delete that line of code and this should be working. Alright, so now we have no errors in the pencil, which is pretty awesome. But let's fix some of the things in here. So this checkbox is obviously not there anymore. Okay, yeah, so let's add that into this here. So basically we're going to be doing like the thing in the other class. We're keeping the things in check. So for the checkboxes, checkbox tiles visible dot set selected editor dot show tiles, and then same thing for set selected editor dot show map elements. So basically 60 times a second it's going to update this checkbox to whether it should display the tiles and the elements or not. So that'll keep it in check, make sure it's at the right value, because otherwise we'd have to add some sort of way for the main editor to update the tool to tell the tool that, yeah, hold on a second here. Yeah, maybe we should do that. Yeah, and I'll get rid of this too. It'll be a much nicer design if I do it that way. So public abstract void update visibilities, we'll just call it boolean tiles visible, boolean I forgot that, is that it? Update visibilities. So then here, I should just copy that code here. Okay, and this is gone, right? I cut that. Okay, good. And this, so every time we change the layer, we should be updating that rather than just doing it that cheap way. So let's do a Control F. So selected layer is equal to Wait, what was the label again? There you go. That should be it. Delete that, because that's no good. Okay, seems like there's some other bugs in here. Checkbox tile. Right, whenever we update these, we need to do if tool is not equal to null. That's selected tool, I believe. Update visibilities. So show tiles, show elements, show grid. And we can just copy this across. And we should also put it in here in the set show tiles, set show elements, set that. Okay. So the main editor class is actually good. One thing I need to do though is add in the settings JPanel. So let's create the variable for that. That'll be private JPanel tool settings panel, and I should have put a to-do marker there, but it's okay, I found it. Tool settings panel is equal to new JPanel. I think that's all I need to do, right, for the JPanel. Panel. Okay, so I won't put the border. Oh, okay, and all I need to do for this now is panel.add, and we'll add in the tool settings panel. And I should also do selected tool dot add components to the tool settings panel. Now we also need to call this whenever the tool is changed. So let's do a method for that. So public void set tool, new tool. And there should be some sort of like dot clear method or something, or dot remove all. There you go. So that should be okay. So let's just fix these few little bugs that we have here. The entity adder tool we won't do just yet. We'll do after. It's really not that hard. Entity.getSelected item value. Okay, so let's just copy all this stuff over here that we need, because it's basically the same thing. So copy. Yeah, so we got that. Next method. Oh yes, the mouse scroll. Add components. It's like the same exact thing. Reload lists as well. And update visibilities. It's pretty much all the exact same stuff. Okay, and this becomes list.getSelectedValue. Let's copy that because we need to use it in a couple places. What's it complaining about here? Oh, duplicate, yeah. Oh, selected layer. That's handled in here. And let's delete this one here. And what's the last error? No, that's it. Hey, cool. Here, the only thing you need to do is just add in the unimplemented methods, and that's all. So mouse scroll, we don't do anything with that. Update visibilities, we don't use that. We will use the add components though. I'm going to add in a combo box to select what type of entity the person wants to place. Oh, for some reason the chat disconnected me for a bit. I don't know why. But right now in the map editor, when the person clicks, see it opens up this entity adder box, which is basically just a window that lets the user select what type of entity they want to place. But I'm just going to put that on the side panel. It makes more sense that way, I think. Reload lists. Right, okay, so we need access to the reload list method. Okay, so in the tool here, we're going to create a public void reload. It's much cleaner now, I think, too, which is nice. Scroll items, we can delete that. Okay, let's add in a reload method in here. Is there one? Okay, let's just go search it. Reload. Okay, world rendered reload assets. So then here what we'll do is if editor.getSelectedTool is not equal to null, then we'll do editor.getSelectedTool reload. I pass in the asset manager there. Okay, so let's do that in here. We'll add in the reload method, and we'll call reload lists. Same thing for the bucket. All right, what else is it complaining about now? Error dot get selected layer. Does it really need to know what layer is selected? For this, yes, I understand that. Yes, this. It should know where to display that. Get selected layer. Okay, so that's going to present a little bit of a challenge. It's no big deal. Let's remove that. So in the map.draw, we're going to have to change that a little bit. So it doesn't need this, or at least it shouldn't. Which means like that. We're gonna have to update quite a few things, I think. So in the tool render method, should probably also pass in the int tile x, int tile y. So that way it can render things depending on where the mouse is currently located, which makes sense. I don't know, I don't like that so much. I think I'll keep that in. Okay. What else is needed? I selected layer. Okay. I just want to rename this to have the keyword get in front of it. Oops. Okay, so now we have access to a few of those things, but we need to do some error checking just in case. Well, not just in case, because sometimes it's going to give crap values like null or -1 if the tool doesn't care about you know, rendering these things. Right, so we're gonna need to add those things back in. I should have undone before. Batch. Okay, so what is the tile X, tile Y, and selected layer? Okay. Okay, so let's do that in the map quickly. So if the selected list value, okay, so it checks here, you know, like if it's not null, then don't put it. Selected layer, it also checks if it's equal to. So it shouldn't do anything if we give it, you just say we have the entity tool selected. It shouldn't play around with, it shouldn't be drawing like a display thing, so that's good. Okay, the right click thing. This I'm going to put that into the bucket and pencil themselves. We're gonna have to modify these things here a little bit, but okay, so sorry, I'm not really explaining much anymore. The thing that I'm doing here is that the world renderer before, whenever you right clicked, it would select that tile and put it into the selected tile for editing, which was very useful. But I don't think it's the world renderer's place to do that, so I'm putting it in the tools. So I'm putting it in the bucket and the pencil. This I'm going to also put in the pencil here. And then I'll just change this. Whoops. And then this will pass in the button. This will also pass in the button. Okay, that's looking good. Just need to add in this stuff here for the bucket. Oh wow, it's raining really hard outside right now. I think that's it, right? We have that. Yeah, that looks good. So there's officially no more bugs with the editor. Well, not bugs, but no more errors. So we can try to run it. Hopefully things don't crap out on us. That was a bit premature. Update visibilities. So that gets called pretty quickly before even all this stuff is set. Okay, so let's check the path this matter.state changed. I'm not too sure what this crash is about though. Toggle tiles. Okay, so the state of this thing gets changed somehow. It's probably because I just selected at one point and then it's no big deal. I'll just add a check here. I feel like though if this thing's been initialized, then it would be null when it calls this. Because add components is called pretty quickly after it. Maybe I just don't call the constructor for it. Oh no, it looks good. Oh wait, no. Yeah, no, never mind. Okay, so I'll just do the check. If checkbox tiles visible is not equal to null, aha. Okay, this is this is not what I wanted, but sure. So how do I fix this even? Okay, but at least see, this doesn't even work. Did it crash? No, looks fine. Yeah, look, I can't even. Okay, I really don't like swing. I find it's kind of crappy. So this might take a little bit of time for me to figure out. Because I have like a grid bag layout here. Okay, let's just make sure I'm doing everything right in here first. Select a tool to add components. Tool settings panel. See here I'm using a grid bag layout for basically everything. Make sure everything is all good in there. And I should be using it for the panel as well. Let's put this here. Grid bag constraints, tool settings, panel. I'm guessing this how to do like that. Inset. I think I put that all to 0. I have no idea honestly what I'm doing, but alright, that's better, I guess. Right, I see what's going on now. So this is the X, and since they're both at X0 on the grid, it's doing this thing, but I want it to stretch to the end. Okay, so GBC tool settings panel dot fill. Is equal to fill dot no. Let's try that. That's probably not it. Grid width is equal to 3. Okay, that's somewhat better, but these things need to be, pushed under, which I don't get why they're not, because I just copied the stuff from the other place. You can see here. Here the grid width is 5. And the height is 7. Okay. So this is a bit better. But these things need to be pushed down, So I must be missing something. If I go in here, the tools. See here. There's this definition thing here for the panel. I need to add that to the other panel. That's why. I scrolled down way too far. And this would be so column widths. Geez, I don't know why there's so many values here. This is confusing. Column weights, row weights, row heights. So we'll keep that at 14. The widths will keep it. Let's just see what it looks like if we keep that the same. Oh, hey, that's not too bad. So this seems to be working actually, although this thing needs to stretch farther down. I'm not too sure how I do that, but and I guess it'll stretch with it. Now when I select the entity tool, oh, okay, I guess I just had to redraw. Like if I move it around. Okay, so it just has to repaint. I think that's what it should be doing. So whenever I do set tool, I would do tool settings panel dot repaint, and hopefully that should do it. Seems like there's something more to it though. What if I just do panel.repaint just to make sure everything's all good? No, I don't have access to it here. Would I revalidate maybe? There you go. And now if we do, let's just test this out, make sure it all works well. So if you get the pencil, okay, so the display thing is not working. Oh yes, of course, I forgot to add those things in. That won't be too hard to do. So we'll just do, whoops, get selected item. And here we just do turn list dot get selected value, and here we do get selected layer. And we can copy this over to the bucket because it's pretty much the same thing. The bucket and the pencil are very similar. It's just when the user clicks, it does something slightly different. But other than that, it's pretty much the same thing. Okay, and if we do that, yeah, that all works. If we scroll, it scrolls through the different ones, and we can actually edit with it. Oh, we don't call the render yet though, we need to do that. Okay, and bucket works like a charm. What if we fill up this entire layer with houses, and if we Whoops. There you go. That works. Show tiles, show elements, show grid. Looks like it's all working. This we're going to add in that setting to choose what type of entity. What do you mean thin no more? Sorry, I just saw your chat message now, but I'm guessing you didn't send it long ago because you're talking about something recent. Yes, the render thing. Let's add that in. If editor.get selected tool is not equal to null, editor.get selected tool dot render. And I called the reload, I think, too, in here, right? Yep. Reload. So what else is there? Reload, add components, that. We're all calling these. We're calling all of these too, and yep, these are used. So yeah, that's it. I'm just gonna reload this project. It's annoying seeing those errors there. I prefer not to see any errors at all, and then when I get errors in the project I'm actually working on, they'll show up. It's more useful that way. Okay, that's all good now. Alright, so that's cool. So let's add in the chunk managing tool. I'll do the entity adder tool thing later for the add components. No point in doing it just now. Let's just get into the chunk stuff because that's what this is all about, right? Actually, I should change the title of the stream because this is chunk system number 3. And it still says in the description, today we'll add in our first monster. Today we are making the map editor much better and adding chunk management functionality. I think that should update it. Yeah, there you go. The stream doesn't seem to be doing too bad today, which is good. It says only like 2.4% drop frames. Yeah, so let's just create an icon quickly for this this thing here. I wasn't too sure what to do for the chunk manager tool icon. I want to kind of draw like a chunk, but I'm not too sure what to do for that. Okay, so it should be 16 by 16, I believe. So I'm thinking if we do like a little thing of grass like this. And of course put some texture into it. I don't want to spend too much time on it. I just want it to be good enough so that you can tell what it's for. There, this looks fine like that. And put in like a little tree. And what else? I guess like a bush. Let's use the same greens as this. Sure. I think that'll look okay. Once you put in the editor, it'll probably look even better. Oh, it's on my desktop. Okay, so how do I load in these buttons here? Let's just look at another button. Okay, see here, so this is where we declare the icons, so buffered image, chunk icon is equal to null. Okay, so I'm just going to copy this other button here. I have to do modifications to the other ones after, but so button chunk tool. The X will become 3. Set tool, we won't do anything just yet. Just comment that out. I need to do button entity tool dot set selected false. And in all the other ones here, we're going to have to do button chunk tool dot set selected false. So basically, when you select one tool, it's going to unselect all the other tools. I think that's it for now. So let's just try this out. Input is equal to null. Oh yes, because we need to refresh. Oops. See, it doesn't show up in here. Just need to press F5, and I think it should be good now. There you go. How was that icon? It's so-so. For some reason the width is off. Maybe the icon is smaller than it's supposed to be. Kind of looks like it, eh? Here, let's look at this one here. Properties. 16 by 23. Are they all that size? 20 by 20. So it looks like you can make it almost any size you want. By 20. I'll make it 20 by 20. Oops. Alright, that looks okay like that. Export. An error? What's the error? Failed due to could not delete. Oh. That's why. Sure, I think this is good enough. Okay, so let's add in that chunk tool then. So we'll close that. Entity adder tool. I think I'm just going to add in that thing quickly. I should add in the constraint thing in here. Okay, and then when the screen is clicked, we will do this. I don't like my window management thing either, but I won't fix that now. And I can just delete this class now, because I don't need that. Okay, so let's just try it out quick. So if I click on this, see there's a list now of entities that can be selected. I should also add a label just to say, you know, this is to like select entity type or something like that. I can just add that in here. So JLabel entity type label. JLabel. Alright, looks pretty good. I'm just going to check for the pencil, how I made it so that the labels are really like pushed to the side. Makes more sense that way, I think. Oh, I was setting the dimensions here. Okay, I set the anchor. We don't have to specify that here. Just set the anchor and it'll be okay. Must have been something else then. And set it grid width. Whatever, this is just a detail. Let's add in that chunk tool now. Okay, so tools, new class, chunk tool, extends tool. So in here, I'm thinking that I'll put a combo box. Ugh. I'm thinking that I'll put a combo box. Yeah, hold on a second. Yeah, kind of like with the entity adder tool. I'll put a combo box so that they can select what kind of generation they want to use to generate onto that chunk, and there'll probably be like a generate button. So the tool will let you select a chunk at a time, and you know, select what you want on it and what you want to do to that chunk specifically, if you just want to reset it or if you want to generate something onto it. So I'm going to create, the chunks are now 64 by 64. I changed that. It was just a better size. I don't remember exactly my reason for changing it, but I had a specific reason that it made more sense. I keep holding down Control to scroll because that's the way that the map editor is doing it. Okay, so I'm just gonna draw this thing out here. Not too sure where to save this. Save it in here. I'm going to do one that has a thickness of 2. This will demonstrate which chunk is selected. Actually, this is way too small, this image, now that I think of it. Yeah, actually, I don't know what I was thinking. The image is supposed to be 16 times 64. So it's like 1,000. It's 1024. I don't know why I'm using white. It's much harder to see. Do a black line. And then after that I can just bucket fill it to white. It's so hard to... Oh no, my stupid mouse, come on. No. Oh, it's... No, I was holding shift. I think that 1 pixel is just not enough for this. Do 3 pixels. That should be okay, I think. I'm almost wondering if it would just been much faster if I just rendered lines using libgdx. I'm sure there's some shape render. Actually, I remember seeing a shape render, because this is long. I don't even know if this is going to be visible enough. It should be okay, I think. So yeah, let's put that as white. Export that to chunk. Okay, so for the chunk tool, we're basically going to go through each chunk and render a grid on it. I don't know if we should save the exact chunk that's selected or just the X and Y of it. Maybe just the X and Y. So int selected chunk X, int selected chunk Y. So we should load in the image to render here. So we can get the asset manager. So let's go into the asset manager and load in this stuff. So we'll have a private texture chunk. See, I had a feeling. So it's loading it, but it's not loading it from this image folder here. It's loading it from the assets folder from Archipelo's main assets. We'll put it in there, in that assets folder. I mean, it's fine. So chunk is equal to new texture chunk.png. Get chunk. Okay, and so in here we can do world or editor dot get map dot get chunk rows. So for each chunk, we're going to render that chunk image. So .draw editor.get asset manager.get chunk texture chunk.get pixel x and chunk.get pixel y. So if is chunk selected and selected chunk x is equal to chunk.getx and selected chunk y is equal to chunk.getY. So if that's a selected chunk, then we should render a yellow version of it. Otherwise, you should render a black version of that texture. So batch.set color 1111. We don't need the curly brackets because it's just going to be one line of code. Batch.set color 0001. And then yellow would be batch.set color 1101. I'm pretty sure that's yellow in RGB. And here first we should check if editor.getMap is not equal to null. Where did I put it? I closed the main editor. Okay, so now we just need to, for the button here, for the chunk tool, we need to, when you do set tool, you put this as chunk tool. Okay, so we can't really tell right now, but if we can't go into this. Oh, see, there you go. We can see the grid now. So that's cool. We need to add in also the ability to see a selected chunk. So let's do that. So what are the calculations again to get the selected chunk? It should be, I know it's in the map here. There you go. Come on, where is it? Chunk tool. So touch down. Okay, so we'll bucket fill with some water. We get this here, and if we click on one, there you go. It shows as selected. Although, I don't want it to just show selected the ones that are available. So I actually need to change this. Yeah, there you go. So now you can select chunks even if they're not. Oh, okay, but I should make this line thicker because it's just not rendering when you zoom out too much. Here, I wonder if there's a nice quick way I can do this. If I copy paste and then shrink it down a little bit. Whoops. Oh, wait a second. I have to reload this and then copy it over. I think it's still the same image. Paste. Eclipse must cache all the files in your workspace. Which is a bit annoying because you have to reload every time you edit a file. I don't really like that, but that's just how it works. Okay, it seems to work better now. Alright, but the issue that's going on here is this. Touchdown is making sure that it's within the map's limits before doing all that. So maybe I should add an extra one like touchdown unsafe or something like that. Or I can just add this to all the other ones. Yeah, I'm going to do that. So in the pencil, go to touchdown. This too as well. I don't think it should do that. And this shouldn't just be for touchdown, it should also be for touch up, and also remove it for drag. Now, if we go in here, so now we can pretty much see if we just zoom out, you can click anywhere and just add in that chunk. So in the tools here, we're going to have to add a add and remove button. So we can add or remove different chunks. And also the remove would be good too. Just want to make sure all this is doing well too. Like, it's pretty obvious which one is selected, right? Which is good. Okay, so yeah, let's add in those add and remove buttons. So to do this, I feel like you need to create a new method in the map that returns whether a chunk exists or not. So let's delete these because we don't need those 5 chunks now, or we'll keep it in for now until we're done with this. So public boolean does chunk exist. So for these are X and Y here. So this will return whether a chunk exists at that specific coordinate. So then we can add in the add and remove buttons accordingly. So in here we need to put in an add or remove button. So how do I do buttons anyways in this thing? It's probably like a J button add remove button is equal to new J button so we should add a constraint, so grid add constraints. Is that how we did it for the other stuff? Just want to make sure everything's consistent. Okay, equals new get grid bag constraints. So you just add in the constraints. So do this. This becomes 0. Y will also be 0. And GBC dot width is equal to 5. You also need to add in a listener for this. Button dot action listener. For buttons, I'm not too sure how we're supposed to do it. I'm just going to check in here quick, because I've made some buttons before for the other menus. If you go on the new map menu here, it should be in here. Yes, it's an action listener. I should also set the bounds of the button, I'm thinking too. Okay, so action listener, action performed. Alright, let's see how that goes. Okay, so it's like creating this super tiny button here. Okay, so that's a bit short. We'll do 40 120. Okay, so a big add and remove button. So we'll make it so it's not visible from the start. Add remove button dot set visible false. And when we click on a chunk to select it, we'll do add remove. Oh yes, of course I didn't put it up in here. Does chunk exist? Alright, so let's test this out now. This should work, I think. So yeah, before that would have caused bugs, but it doesn't now. So okay, see, so these are all selected chunks. So the button says remove, so we can remove it. But if we select one that's not, it says add. Okay, so that seems to be working. That's good. Now we actually have to add in the functionality to add or remove the chunk depending. And that's actually really going to be easy. So if is selected chunk claimed, then we will do editor.getMap.remove chunk, selected chunk X, selected chunk Y. We need to make sure that actually is a selected chunk. Is if is chunk selected, that should be it, I think. We should also make sure that the map is not null, so editor.getMap is not equal to null. I think that's it, really. So the button shouldn't be visible here until we load in a map. Oh, I mean until we select a chunk, sorry. So there you go, we select the chunk. So if we click remove, there you go, it gets removed. And this becomes add, so we can remove this one as well. Changes to add, and we can also add new ones. I'll try something here. If I draw across all these. Now if I try to add this chunk. Okay, good. Now I'm thinking that eventually I'd like to have a way to undo removing chunks and adding them. I can do that pretty easily. So what I'm going to do, index out of bounds. Oh, okay. Okay, so let's remove all this stuff here. I'm going to keep chunk 0, 0 loaded because it just makes sense to have that loaded in. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with what we did today for the stream. So I'm just going to stop it here. We've done a good 2 hours and 10 minutes. So we started a little late. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. And next stream I think I'll do tomorrow morning. So 9 a.m. Pacific time. Sorry, Eastern time. And I'll be adding in more features. I'll probably even get to the procedural generation. Actually, here, I'll show you guys that real quick. I did play around with the procedural generation a little bit, and I think I found a nice balance for the maps, and it shouldn't be too hard to implement that into the map editor, at least the basic part. What is this? You can't be serious. It almost looks as if that it got deleted. Testing. Oh, because I did delete it. Oh crap, no. Okay, well, it wasn't too big of a deal, but that was dumb of me. Anyways, I made a few tweaks to the map generator, and I deleted it because I thought I copied it somewhere else, but I didn't. So keep backups, people. But yes, so it is working. The only thing that won't be implemented for the map generator is, at least not yet, I plan to do it in the future though, is here, if I open the map editor, I'll show you guys. Okay, so let's just fill it up with grass. I think it crashed. Oh no, never mind. So just say you're making like a dirt road. Like this. And then you know you have to fill in all of these things here. And it can be really long and boring. Well, the map generator won't have this in place just yet. But the plan is so that the map generator, when it's ready, you know, you'll have like islands like this with water around them. Oops. And then, you know, there'll be sand, and there's going to be transition blocks like there is for the road here. You know, it's like transition tiles. So there's going to be transition tiles from the water to the sand and the sand to the grass. So when I first implement the map generator, it will not do that automatically, but the plan is to have that do automatically. Also, I want to create a tool that does it automatically as well. So even for the roads, if we add in like roads, my plan is that, you know, you would have the road like this, and the tool would be so simple that you just click on the road and it's going to see, oh, okay, the road is meshing with grass here. Get the road and grass mesh and just place it all around automatically. So that's all going to be kind of part of the same system. I'm going to add that later on though, but I think it would be a very useful feature to have. So that's my plan with it. But yeah, anyways, thank you guys for watching. Next stream will be tomorrow at 9 AM Eastern time, and I'll be doing more stuff on this. I'll be adding in the basic generator and everything, because I got everything else done, so I'm just going to get onto the chunk stuff now.